Right now, do me a favor. Take that glossy biography of Steve Jobs or Elon Musk sitting on your nightstand like holy scripture and throw it in the trash. It's not a survival guide. It's a map of a minefield where someone has carefully erased every mine, leaving only the footprints of the lucky few who walked over the corpses. You're looking at me in confusion. Your brain is resisting. It's screaming, but Charlie, to be successful, you have to learn from the successful. And that exact thought, that sweet, logical, but absolutely false mental construct, is the trap holding you in poverty. You think you're studying a recipe for success, but you're actually studying survivorship bias, the most dangerous cognitive trap of all, the one that makes you believe dolphins are kind creatures that save people. And you've heard the stories, right? A man was drowning. A dolphin swam up and pushed him toward the shore until help arrived. What conclusion does your brain draw? Dolphins save people, but ask yourself the question no one asks because it ruins a beautiful fairy tale. Where are the accounts from those whom the dolphins pushed the other way into the open sea? They don't exist because dead men don't write memoirs. They don't give YouTube interviews and all, and they don't give TED Talks about how a killer dolphin dragged them to the bottom. You see only the survivors, and it distorts your reality beyond recognition. Like you look at a lottery winner smiling as he tells you how he bought a ticket at a kiosk on the corner of Fifth Avenue, and your brain, that lazy trader, builds a cause and effect link. To win, I need to buy a ticket on the corner of Fifth Avenue. You run there, buy a ticket, and you lose. Why? Because you ignored the millions of people who bought the same ticket at the same kiosk with the same hope, but walked away with nothing. You're trying to replicate a result by copying actions that have nothing to do with the cause of success. You think Bill Gates got rich because he dropped out of Harvard? Thousands of idiots drop out every year inspired by that story and end their careers at a supermarket checkout or in an unemployment line. Dropping out of Harvard isn't the secret to success. It's a risk that became a springboard for one and a scaffold for thousands of others. But you don't see the scaffolds. You only see the pedestal. Let's go back to World War II so you can understand how fatal this error is when you turn off your critical thinking. Imagine you're a general. Your bombers are returning from missions riddled with bullets. You inspect them and see a pattern. The wings and the tail turned into Swiss cheese, but the cockpit and the engines are untouched. And what do? Now, your common sense screams, we need to reinforce the armor on the wings and the tail because that's where the Germans are hitting us. It seems logical, doesn't it? It seems obvious. And if you give that order, you will lose the war and kill your pilots. Do you know why? Because you are looking at the survivors. The planes with hit wings made it back to base. They survived. Hits to the wings aren't fatal. But where are the planes that were hit in the engine or the cockpit? Yeah, they're at the bottom of the ocean or burning in the forests of Europe. You don't see their holes because they didn't come back to show them to you. You shouldn't reinforce where the survivors have holes. You should reinforce where they don't, because it's the hits in the clean spots that kill instantly. Now, apply this metaphor to your life and feel the cold sweat on your back. You look at billionaires and see their holes. They took risks. They slept 4 hours a day. They were eccentric tyrants. They ignored the rules. And you think, oh, I should do the same. I should reinforce those spots. You know, you start acting like a jerk. You stop sleeping. You put all your money into one crazy idea and you crash. Why? Because for the billionaire, those qualities were holes in the wings. He survived despite them, not because of them. But for you, those same actions were a hit to the engine. You're copying the winner's scars, thinking they're medals. But scars are just traces of mistakes that didn't kill him. They will kill you. You're trying to build a plane out of straw because you saw how islanders build mock-up planes, hoping the gods will send them food. This is the cargo cult of success. You imitate the external attributes, the habits, the routine, the words, the clothes, not realizing that the essence is hidden in what you don't see, in the thousands of losers who did the same thing, but whom the market ground into dust. Do you feel your foundation crumbling? You thought you had a treasure map, but I'm telling you it's a map drawn by a madman who simply survived a storm and decided he could control the weather. Success is often the result of chance, a lucky coincidence of time and place multiplied by the absence of a fatal error. But our brain hates randomness. It seeks patterns. It wants to believe that if Steve Jobs wore a black turtleneck, there's magic in the turtleneck. So you put on a turtleneck, but the magic doesn't happen. You feel cheated. Yeah. You think maybe I didn't believe hard enough. Maybe I need to get up at 4 a.m. instead of 5. And you start torturing yourself, digging into the details of biographies instead of realizing the terrifying truth. You are analyzing data from which all negative outcomes have been removed. You are building statistics based on exceptions. Imagine you walked into a graveyard, but instead of graves, you only saw monuments to those who lived to be 100. Would you conclude that humans are immortal? That is exactly what you do when you walk into the business literature section of a bookstore. It's a cemetery where the names of the dead have been erased, leaving only the golden statues of those lucky enough to dodge the raindrops. But here's the question that should be drilling into your brain right now. If success stories are a lie, if biographies are useless, if guru advice is a survivorship bias, then where do you find the truth? Where do you look, if not at the winners? The answer is where you're afraid to even glance, in the dark, in the silence, in the stories of those who lost. Are you ready to go down into the hold of this ship and look at the holes that actually sink vessels? Or would you rather stay on deck, listening to the orchestra and believing this Titanic is unsinkable just because the captain wrote a book called How I Successfully Avoided Icebergs for the First 3 Days of the Voyage? Let's come down to earth, away from the shining peaks of success where the air is intoxicating and reality is distorted by camera flashes. Let's visit a place that will never make the cover of Time magazine, even though that's where the absolute majority of those who tried to follow your idol's path are located. Welcome to the Graveyard of Hopes, this giant, endless necropolis where the ambitions of millions are buried, and people who were smarter, more hardworking, and more talented than that single lucky soul whose portrait hangs on your wall. Can you smell that? It's not the smell of sulfur. It's the smell of sweat, cheap coffee, and overdue loans. The smell of real entrepreneurship that coaches never talk about. You walk between the rows of graves and see names that mean nothing to you. But stop for a second and read their stories, because here lies a secret that will make your blood run cold. Here lies a guy who, like Bill Gates, dropped out of a prestigious university to start a company in his parents' garage. He wore the same baggy hoodie. He stayed up all night, too. He believed in his mission to change the world just as much. Do you know where he is now? He's working as an assistant manager at an electronics store, paying off debts for that very garage that never became the cradle of Apple, but became the grave of his youth. You look at this, and your brain, desperately clinging to the illusion of a just world, whispers, he must have done something wrong. He probably didn't have that spark, that vision Gates had. And this is where I have to slap you to bring you to your senses. He did everything exactly the same. He followed the same manual, step by step, letter by letter. His code was cleaner. His idea was more revolutionary, but he lost. Why? Because the market sneezed at that moment, or an investor woke up on the wrong side of the bed, or a competitor launched a day earlier. You look for the cause of failure in the person's actions, but the truth, cynical and ruthless, is that in a chaotic system, the result does not always correlate with effort. You think success is a reward for right actions? No. success in the form they sell it to you is a statistical anomaly. It's winning a lottery where 1 million people bought tickets, but you only interview the one who hit the jackpot and ask him, what strategy did you use when choosing the numbers? And this idiot with a serious face answers, I visualized victory. And the 1 million losers who also visualized stay silent because no one gave them the microphone. But let's dig deeper to where your faith in a just world turns to ash. You've heard the mantra, no risk, no champagne. That's the favorite slogan of those who survived Russian roulette. Imagine we gathered 100,000 people and invited them to play roulette with a revolver for $1 million. One person will survive, get the money, and write a book, How I Risked Everything and Won. You'll read that book and think, wow, courage is the key. You won't see the 99 corpses lying off camera. And for them, risk wasn't the key to wealth. It was the key to the morgue. And you look at Mark Zuckerberg and think, he risked everything by dropping out of Harvard. You don't understand one fundamental thing. For Zuckerberg, that risk worked because he was in the right place at the right time with the right set of genetic and social privileges. For you, that same risk, dropping out without a safety net, isn't courage, it's idiocy. It's jumping off a cliff hoping you'll grow wings because you saw one guy accidentally land on a passing eagle. Still think I'm exaggerating? Look at the cult of the garage. It's a modern religion. They tell you to start in a garage, stay hungry. But have you ever wondered what a garage actually is? It's a cold, dirty, windowless room where you swallow dust and lose your social connections. Most companies that start in a garage die in a garage. A garage isn't an incubator of success. It's a graveyard of ideas. But you only see the few who made it out, and your brain performs a logical somersault. If they came out of a garage, then the garage is the reason for their success. This is called the logical fallacy of confirmation bias. You seek evidence for your theory and ignore the mountains of facts that debunk it. You build your life on exceptions, thinking they are rules. You are an engineer designing a bridge based on the fact that a hurricane didn't destroy a straw hut. And here's the twist that will make you feel cheated in the most brutal way. Often those who lost were better than those who won. Yes, you heard me right. In the graveyard of hopes lie projects that were technically superior to Facebook or Microsoft. Their creators were smarter, more ethical, and more visionary, but they lost. Maybe they were too cautious, or on the contrary, too aggressive. No, they just got unlucky. Luck is a factor you hate to admit because it takes away your control. If success depends on luck, then why bother? Why read books? Why get up at 5 a.m.? And this is where your ego rebels. You want to believe you are the captain of your soul. But when you copy the actions of a survivor, you aren't copying his luck. You're copying his habits, his clothes, his manner of speaking, but you cannot copy that unique chaos of circumstances that lifted him to the top. You study Steve Jobs' biography, his despotic management style, his perfectionism, his rudeness to employees, and you think, to create a great company, you have to be a tough visionary and park your car in handicapped spots. You start acting like an asshole thinking that's the secret ingredient. But the truth is, Jobs succeeded despite his character, not because of it. His genius compensated for his unendurability. You don't have his genius, but you have successfully copied his unendurability. And what will you get in the end? You won't get Apple. You'll get fired, a divorce, and loneliness. You took the worst from the winner, thinking it was the reason for his victory. You put on the black turtleneck, but your brain remained the same. Do you feel the ground slipping away? Are you starting to realize that the entire successful success industry is built on selling you lottery tickets disguised as investment textbooks? They sell you the hope that you can replicate an anomaly, but an anomaly cannot be replicated. It can only be observed. And now, as you stand in the middle of this graveyard, surrounded by the ghosts of those who did everything right and perished, a question must arise on which your life depends. if I can't learn from the winners because their experience is distorted by survival, and I can't learn from the losers because their voices aren't heard, then from whom should I learn? Where should I look so I don't end up in Rinchi Cho Day grave next door? Yo Okua. The show answer lies not in finding a new formula for success. The answer lies in turning the map upside down. Are you ready to find out how to use the experience of the dead to stay alive? Or would you rather close your eyes and run after the dolphin again, who might just be playing with your carcass before drowning you? Now, let's take a scalpel and cut out the most dangerous, most poisonous tumor from your brain, the one planted there by your parents, your school, and motivational speakers with snow-white smiles. I hear that voice in your head. It sounds like a broken record you play every time you fail. I just need to try harder. I need to work harder. Hard work pays off. Do you really believe that? Do you honestly think the amount of sweat you pour at work has a direct linear correlation with the number of zeros in your bank account? If that were true, if hard work were the key to wealth, the richest people on the planet wouldn't be Jeff Bezos or Warren Buffett. They would be the women in African villages who walk 20 kilometers every day with 40-liter jugs of water on their heads under a scorching sun. They work harder than you. They are tougher than you. They are more disciplined than you. But they die in poverty. Why? Because the market doesn't give a damn about your efforts. The market doesn't care how many hours you didn't sleep. The market only pays for value, scale, and leverage, not for your suffering. But you continue to suffer, thinking it's a sacrifice the gods of economics will surely reward. You are praying to false gods. You have fallen victim to a phenomenon anthropologists call a cargo cult, and it is the funniest yet most tragic story in the history of human stupidity. During World War II, there were tribes on Pacific Islands who had never seen civilization. Suddenly, American soldiers arrived, built airstrips, and started receiving cargo from the sky. Food, clothes, tools. The islanders watched and thought, these white people do strange rituals, and the gods send them gifts. Then the war ended, the soldiers left, and the cargo stopped falling. What did the islanders do? They didn't go study aerodynamics. They started building planes out of straw. They made headphones out of coconuts and bamboo antennas. They marched on the airstrip with wooden rifles, imitating the soldiers' actions, fully convinced that if they perfectly replicated the form, the cargo would return. They prayed to straw planes for years. Are you laughing at them? Do you think you're smarter than the savages on Vanuatu? Walk over to the mirror right now. Look at yourself. You get up at 5 a.m. because you read that's what Tim Cook does. You drink green smoothies because that's what Gwyneth Paltrow does. You keep a gratitude journal. You meditate and you wear a black turtleneck like Steve Jobs. You've built yourself a straw plane out of the habits of successful people, and you're sitting in it waiting for $1 million to fall from the sky. But the sky is empty. You know, you're imitating the outer shell of success while ignoring the engine. Do you think Steve Jobs became a genius because he wore a turtleneck? No, he wore a turtleneck because he didn't care about clothes. His brain was busy creating the iPhone. You are confusing cause and effect. You're copying the symptoms, not the disease of genius. You are a cargo cult priest in an office center wearing coconut headphones and calling it biohacking and productivity. But here's the twist that should make you feel betrayed. Those books you read, those biographies you study, they are lies. Not because the authors want to deceive you, but because human memory is an unreliable narrator. When a billionaire writes a memoir, he suffers from narrative fallacy. He looks back at his life and constructs a beautiful logical line. I did A, then B, and C happen. He forgets to tell you about the chaos, the chance encounters, the luck, the fact that his competitor died of a heart attack the day before the tender. He rationalizes his success after the fact. He tells you, I was persistent. No, 1,000 other guys were also persistent and went bankrupt. That means persistent isn't the distinguishing factor. It's just a prerequisite to enter the game, not a guarantee of victory. You're reading a manual on how to win the lottery written by a winner who is convinced he won because he circled the numbers with his left hand. And you start writing with your left hand thinking you've cracked the code. Do you feel your faith in justice crumbling? Did you think success was an equation that could be solved? Effort plus time marks result. That equation works for digging holes. If you're digging a hole, the harder you work, the deeper the hole. But in the world of nonlinear systems, the world of business and investment, that equation breaks. You can work 100 hours a week and create a product no one wants. You can work 4 hours a week and, thanks to a lucky coincidence and the leverage of capital, earn millions. Is it unfair? Absolutely. But who told you the universe had to be fair? It is chaotic, and your attempt to impose a template of morning rituals on that chaos is the attempt of a child to control the weather with a rain dance. And here's the most terrifying secret of the cargo cult. You aren't copying what made them successful. You're copying what they do now that they are already successful. You see a billionaire doing charity work and philosophizing about saving the planet. So you start doing charity when you have a hole in your pocket. But when that billionaire was earning his first capital, he was a ruthless shark. He slept in the office, he destroyed competitors, and he didn't give a damn about work-life balance. You're copying his retirement behavior, hoping to get his startup results. It's like trying to become an Olympic champion by copying the way the champion lies on the couch after his career is over. You're looking at the finish line and thinking it's the start. But what if I told you there's an even deeper level to this deception? What if those habits you're so diligently trying to cultivate are actually hindering you? You spend 3 hours a day on meditation, exercise, and reading to be in state. Meanwhile, the guy who is actually building a business spends those 3 hours calling clients and solving problems. He's not in state, he's stressed, he's on the verge of a nervous breakdown, but he's moving forward. And you're sitting in the lotus position in your straw plane, perfectly calm, enlightened, and absolutely poor. You've substituted action with the preparation for action. You're polishing your rifle while the war is going on. You've become a professional imitator of activity, and while you wait for the gods to send you cargo, the real planes with the goods fly right past you. Because the pilots don't see an airstrip down there. They see a bunch of lunatics dancing with tambourines. Are you ready to burn your straw plane? Are you ready to admit that the rituals don't work, or is your illusion of control over chaos too comfortable? Because the next step will require you to give up hope for a secret formula and look into the eyes of the beast named randomness. Now put away your notebooks where you wrote down the morning rituals of millionaires and prepare for mental surgery that will save you 20 years of life and possibly save you from the noose. You are looking for the secret ingredient. You are looking for the map to El Dorado, but you don't even suspect you're holding the map upside down. You ask the universe, how do I get rich? And the universe stays silent because that is the wrong question to which no answer exists. The right question, the only question that matters in a world of chaos and uncertainty is this: what will guaranteed make me poor? Do you feel your brain resisting? It wants positivity, it wants a dream, it doesn't want to think about the bad. But that bad is your only reliable compass. It's called inversion. It's an ancient principle used by the greatest mathematicians and strategists, and one you've forgotten, blinded by the glitter of someone else's success. I don't try to be smart. All my life I have simply tried to not be an idiot. And believe me, in a world overflowing with overconfident fools, simply not being an idiot is already a superpower that automatically moves you into the top 1% of the food chain. Let me explain this to you simply so even your inner child understands the tragedy. Do you play tennis? In professional tennis, the winner is the one who hits incredible shots, who serves aces and hits the lines. But you are not a professional. You are an amateur. In amateur tennis, the winner isn't the one who wins points. It's the one who doesn't lose them. The winner is the one who just hits the ball back over the net and waits for the opponent to hit it out or into the net. You in your finances and career are trying to play like Roger Federer without even knowing how to hold the racket. You try to hit the shot of the century by investing in shady crypto with 100x leverage, and predictably you hit the net. You're out of the game. Your task is not to win. Your task is to not lose. Do you think those are the same thing? They are polar opposites. The drive to win makes you risk everything for a ghost of a chance. The drive to not lose makes you protect what you have and allows compound interest to do its job. Imagine you're walking through a minefield. What is more useful to you? A map showing the route of the lucky guy who ran through here drunk yesterday and miraculously didn't explode? Or a map marking all the mines everyone else stepped on? With manic persistence, you seek the lucky guy's map. You want to repeat his path, but his path is survivorship bias. One step left or right, and all that's left of you is your boots. I am suggesting you study the craters. I'm suggesting you become a pathologist of other people's failures. Stop reading billionaire biographies. Start reading bankruptcy stories. Study the collapse of Enron. Study the dot-com bubble. Study why smart, educated people lost everything. You'll see patterns, greed, leverage, emotional decisions, dependency on other people's opinions. These minds have been in the same spot for centuries. And if you just go around them, if you just don't step where all these geniuses step, you will find yourself on the other side of the field alive and rich. But here's the twist that will turn your logic inside out. You think avoiding mistakes is a passive strategy? That it's for cowards afraid to live life to the fullest? On the contrary. Inversion requires much more courage than mindless risk. It's easy to be an optimist and run with the crowd, buying stocks at their highs. It's hard to be a skeptic and stand aside when everyone around you is getting rich. It's hard to say no to a glittering opportunity because you see the hidden risk of ruin in it. Inversion makes you look stupid in the eyes of the crowd while they celebrate paper profits. You sit on a pile of cash and wait. They laugh at you. They call you a dinosaur. But then the tide goes out, and it's revealed who was swimming naked. And that's when the magic happens. You don't just survive. You collect the trophies. You buy their assets for pennies. You win not because you were smarter, but because you were more patient and cautious. And you won because you refused to play the game of who can crash the fastest. Still think you need a high IQ? Let me tell you a story about two pilots. One is an ace, a genius who can pull a plane out of any tailspin. The second is a bore who manically checks the checklist before takeoff and never flies in bad weather. Who is the better pilot? You'll say the first. I say you're a corpse because the first pilot is constantly seeking situations where he can display his heroism, and one day luck will fail him. The second pilot does everything to never end up in a situation where heroism is required. He avoids problems rather than solving them. In investing, heroism is punished by the death of capital. Do you want to be a hero or do you want to be rich? You cannot be both. Wealth is the result of the boring, methodical avoidance of stupidity over a long period of time. And here is the ultimate secret that will make you rethink all your life goals. You think success is reaching a goal. No, success is the absence of a fatal failure. If you multiply any number, even 1 billion, by 0, you get 0. In life, there are many zeros. Bankruptcy, prison, loss of reputation, loss of health. Your only task is to never, under any circumstances, multiply yourself by 0. Everything else is detail. If you can survive long enough without zeroing out, you will inevitably become successful. It is a mathematical certainty. Time works for the survivor, but you are in such a hurry, you want to cut corners so badly that you jump into the arms of zero yourself. You take on debt to look rich. You risk everything on one deal. You bet your life. Why? To prove something to people who don't care about you? Are you starting to understand? I'm not teaching you how to win. I'm teaching you how to not lose. It sounds less sexy than 10 steps to 1 billion, but it's the only thing that works. Imagine your life is a ship. You can set huge sails to sail faster, but if there's a hole in the bottom, you'll sink, and it won't matter how fast you were sailing. Inversion is the search for holes. Forget the sails. Go down to the hold and look for leaks. Look for your weaknesses. Look for your stupidity. Look for your greed, and plug those holes ruthlessly. Only when you are certain your ship is unsinkable should you raise the sails. But you do the opposite. You put sails on a leaky bucket and pray to the wind. The wind doesn't care. The ocean doesn't care. It will swallow you and won't even notice. Are you ready to stop being a suicidal optimist and become a paranoid survivor? Are you ready to admit that you are your own worst enemy? Because until you see the enemy in the mirror, you'll keep stepping on the same rake, wondering why it hits you in the forehead so hard every time. Now that we've walked through the graveyard of your illusions, and you've seen that most of the heroes you worship were just lucky survivors of Russian roulette, it is time for the final chord, the one that will either free you or finally bury you under the rubble of your own ego. You are at a crossroads, and your brain, this addict hooked on the dopamine of cheap promises, is begging you to return to the sweet fog of ignorance where everything is possible and where the universe is abundant. You want to close your eyes and believe again that you are the chosen one, that the laws of math and probability were written for others, but for you, a special elevator to the top is reserved. But I am holding the doors of that elevator open, and you see that the shaft is empty. There is only darkness and gravity, which knows no mercy. Do you think I want to take away your dream? Do you think I'm a cynical old man who has forgotten how to believe in miracles? Oh, you're wrong again, and that mistake could cost you the rest of your life. I believe in miracles. I've seen the miracle of compound interest. I've seen the miracle of longevity. But those miracles only happen to those who survive. Do you understand what that means? Your task is not to find a golden ticket. Your task is to not get kicked out of the game. Imagine life is a marathon through a minefield where there is no finish line, and the winner is simply the one who keeps running when the others are already lying, torn to shreds. You look at the horizon seeking a rainbow, and I look at my feet seeking a tripwire. Do you call me a pessimist? I call myself the owner of all the money the optimists lost. Optimism in investment and business is not a virtue, it's a pathology. An optimist takes leverage because he believes in growth. An optimist puts all his eggs in one basket because he believes in his star. The optimist dies first. The pessimist, or as I prefer to say, the rational paranoid, survives. He always leaves a margin of safety. He always assumes the worst. And when the worst happens, and it always happens, that's the law of entropy. The optimist goes bankrupt, and the pessimist buys his assets for pennies. Which of us is the lucky one in the end? The one who believed in the best and lost everything, or the one who prepared for the worst and got everything? But here is the twist that will make you feel the cold steel of reality at your temple. Do you think survival is a passive strategy, that it's for cowards afraid to live life to the fullest? You're confusing terms again. Survival is the most aggressive form of activity available to man. To survive in a world full of chaos, scammers, inflation, and stupidity, you need to be a predator, not an herbivore. You need to ruthlessly kill greed within yourself. You need to cold-bloodedly cut off people who drag you to the bottom. You need to say no to 99% of opportunities that look like gold but smell like dynamite. This requires a level of willpower you don't have yet because you spent all your energy visualizing success instead of training your refusal muscle. It's easy to say yes and jump into the abyss with the crowd. It's hard to say no and stand on the edge alone while the crowd flies down, calling you an idiot. But do you know what happens next? Then comes the silence. The crowd has crashed, and you are standing. And the whole world now belongs to you simply because there's no one else left. Are you still looking for a secret formula? Do you think I'm hiding the grail from you? Fine, I'll give you the formula, but you won't like it because there's no magic in it. Only dry, boring arithmetic. Success is not an event. Success is the absence of fatal errors multiplied by time. If you multiply any result, even the most brilliant, by 0, you get 0. One wrong move, one fatal mistake, one stupid risk, and all your efforts, all your sleepless nights, all your sacrifices turn into nothing. Your only goal is to avoid zeros. Don't try to be the smartest. Don't try to be the fastest. Just try to not be stupid. Try to not die. Does that sound not ambitious enough for your ego? Does your ego want to be Napoleon? Remember where Napoleon ended up. I prefer to be the boring shopkeeper who slowly gets rich while emperors lose their crowns and their heads. And now, as we've reached the very edge, I will ask you a question that will determine who you actually are. Are you ready to give up the drug of hope? Are you ready to stop looking for heroes and start looking for minds? Are you ready to admit that the world is not a kind fairy tale, but Darwinian selection, where it's not the strongest or the smartest who survives, but the most cautious? Most of you will close this video and return to your sweet dreams. You'll go look for a new book, How to Make $1 Million in a Week. You'll subscribe to a new guru who promises you an easy path. And I won't stop you. The world needs idiots. The world needs cannon fodder for the markets. Someone has to buy at the highs, sell at the lows, so that people like me can make money. Your stupidity is the fuel for my wealth. Thank you for that. But I see that among you there are a few whose feverish glint of gambling has faded, replaced by the cold fire of reason. Those who understood that the game was rigged from the start. Those who realized that the only victory in a casino is to become the casino owner, or to not sit at the table at all. Do you feel that weight? That is the weight of responsibility. There is no one else to blame. There is no wizard coming in a blue helicopter. There is only you, your minefield, and your mind detector. Is it scary? Yes. But it's the only truth you have. You can live your life as a dreamer, forever chasing mirages and dying of thirst, or you can become a survivor, slowly and methodically building your fortress, stone by stone, ignoring the mockery of those building sand castles. The choice is made. There is no going back. You can no longer unsee what I've shown you. Every time you hear another success story, you won't see a hero. You'll see survivorship bias. Every time you're offered a unique chance, you'll look for the catch. You've lost your innocence, but you've gained armor. Now tell me who you are. Don't lie to yourself, because I don't care, but you have to live with it. Which side are you on in this endless war between reality and illusion? Why just one dance? Why judge you one word in the comments that will become your vow? Write survivor if you are ready to throw the trash out of your head, kill the hope for a freebie, and start learning from the mistakes of the dead to stay alive. Or write dreamer if it's more pleasant for you to sleep in a burning house, believing the fire is just a beautiful show. I will be reading, and I will know who among you is the predator and who is the meal. Your time starts now.